One of the most fascinating discussions for me is the question about Ruach HaKodesh, Holy Spirit, the divine resting of God's presence upon a human being, and the possibilities that it could happen in our generation. Many people scoff at this and say the Talmud, Chagiga, and other places indicate that prophecy, divine presence, is impossible outside the land of Israel. It's impossible not at the time of the temple, and it's only possible for the Jewish people. Fascinating thing is that Maimonides, as well as the Zohar, don't seem to agree with these contentions. Maimonides, in chapter 7 of the Laws of the Principles of the Torah, states that prophecy is something that God visits upon man. It does not indicate what kind of a man, whether he be Jewish or non-Jewish, whether he be man or male or female, where he or she lives, and at what time. In fact, Maimonides was asked about this, as to why prophecy does not exist at his time, after the temple was destroyed. And his response was not that the temple is necessary, but that we are not in a state of happiness. That being in a state of happiness is a requisite for prophecy, and without the temple, we lack that happiness. But if it were possible for a human being to reach the level of happiness necessary for prophecy, then it would be possible even during his time. In fact, he says he has a tradition from his father and his father's father, going all the way back to the temple time, that in the year 4976, corresponding to the popular year of 1216, that prophecy would be restored to the people of Israel. Lest you scoff at this, the Rebbe points out that during that period of time, around the 1216, there were many people who were considered prophets. They were considered men of holiness who could tell the future, who knew what was going on high. And the question is, where does Maimonides get the source from, which is different from the traditional Talmudic sources? Perhaps the answer is that this tradition, that prophecy would be restored, is not just a tradition. It's actually a Yerushalmi, found in the Jerusalemite Talmud. And the Jerusalemite Talmud has a different tradition from the Babylonians. And Maimonides, in his analysis as to what constitutes prophecy, determined that the Jerusalemite Talmud was more correct, and that the Babylonian Talmud reflected not just the entire body of Babylonian scholars, but only some of them, a minority opinion. Therefore, Maimonides sides with the Jerusalem Talmud that the coming of Messiah would be restored at a time when the temple didn't stand, would be restored among the Jews who primarily lived outside of Israel. And therefore all the various restrictions, including that prophecy cannot rest upon a Gentile, is also negated by this Yerushalmi, this Jerusalemite Talmud. In fact, Maimonides comments as to why the philosophers, such as Aristotle and Plato and Socrates, did not merit to have prophecy when they were so close to understanding the truth of existence, which is necessary for one to reach prophecy. Maimonides does not say that it is impossible for a Gentile. Rather, he says, these great philosophers were like people who had the keys to the inner treasury, but failed to get the keys to the palace doors. Explaining this is, in order to reach the inner sanctum of God, so that you can use your mind to reach the level necessary to attain prophecy, you must first have the keys to the outer level. And those are the keys to your heart. The Torah teaches us how to control our hearts, how to become a master of yourself emotionally. And only then could your metaphysical understanding, the depths of your brain, reach the highest levels of clarity necessary to receive prophecy. As mentioned before in these videos, if you're an emotional cripple, your intellect will become distorted. You will lack clarity, and you won't be able to reach the highest levels of understanding, and ultimately you will never attain the ultimate understanding, which is the wisdom of God. So there you have it. By fulfilling the Torah today, we become masters of our heart. And then, if we will pursue the study of the spirit, metaphysics, through Kabbalah, through Chassidus, or through divine philosophy, any one of us could become a prophet. Isn't that wonderful?